Hello friends, welcome to the second episode of our gift shop application. So in this video, we are going to design our item single screen page where we will have the option to add the items to the bag or the cart. So you can see the design which is flashing on the screen what we are exactly going to build. So without wasting any time, let's get started with today's video. First of all, if you haven't seen the first part of it, you can just check the link in the description and check the first part, how it is being done, so that you can be in the same phase with the second part. Now in the second part, what we are going to do is, we are going to move ahead with this particular design here. And for doing so, we need to create a page at first, which I'm going to do it in this particular way. Ionic G, I'll create a page within my home page / item detail. So it will be created within our home page folder. Alright, within this particular home folder, it will be created so that it maintains the hierarchy how we are exactly presenting it. If I hit enter, it will be created. There you go. Within the home page, it is created. Great. And let's check out the routing now. So in the routing app.route.ts, well, you will see a different style of routing in the app.routing.module.ts file for the standalone one, but you don't need to worry. This is how it is shown here, but I'm going to change this. Why? Because from the home page itself, this should be the children of the home page. Since in a stack, how we maintain it? First the home page, then within that we will have the item page. You cannot redirect to the item page directly without passing the home page. So in order to do that, we will have to define a children here. So children, and it's almost similar in your ng modules also. I think in the ng modules, you will have it in your home routing module.ts file directly. So you don't need to play around with that. You just need to change the name of it. Like here, the name will be gifts /ID. So this particular part will help you to get the ID which we are going to pass. Okay, that is how we define it, to pass any ID or any other kind of stuff here. Now I'll simply cut it. Again, I'm telling you this is not required in the ng modules one. It will be done automatically the way you are placing the hierarchy. You can simply check it in the home routing module.ts file. Again, I'm saying that. I'll simply paste it here. Okay, and this is not it. I need to do one more thing. So the default route that I'm going to pass here is, let me pass the path to be an empty string. That will be the default route, and it will open up this particular component by default. So let me just move it here. Fine. That is how we need to do it for the home page, because I'm not defining a different routing file here for the home page. That is why we can do it in this particular manner. I need to pass a comma here and the error is gone. So in the home page, this is the hierarchy we are maintaining, and I think we are good to go now. Let me get back to the home page, and in the home page HTML1, what am I going to do? I need to use router link here for this column one or the card one. So in the iron card, I'm going to pass the router link in this particular way /home gifts, then the item .id. If you're new to Ionic, then you should understand that this is an array because we have multiple layers. Like / is there, then home is the first route. Within that we have the gifts one, and then finally the dynamic part, that is item .id. Question mark is given because if the thing doesn't exist, still it won't give you some error. Okay, it will try to redirect if you don't have the ID or anything else there. Now, in order to solve this error will only happen in standalone one, not in the ng modules one, because we don't have any common module, or sorry, the routing module here defined by default. So we need to do something. We need to pass router link here directly and import it. Once that is imported, you can just check it here. Fine. The error is gone. You can check it, right? Now, if I click on any item, just check it out. It is getting redirected, and just check the URL here. Let me enlarge it. 1. If I get back and click on anything else, just check it out. 3. So all the IDs are coming up properly, right? Now we need to fetch this particular ID and get the details of this particular item. one by one, means whichever you're opening it up, we'll get the details, we will design it up, and finally we will add that to the cart one. So we need to do a lot of things here. Let's do it one by one. So I'm going to at first design it up. So let's get to our item detail page and design it up by removing, I think I will remove everything at first. I'll keep the iron content, okay, of type full screen to be true, because within that only I'm going to simply pass all the stuff. And to see the design, how it will work, I'll get inside one of the items so that you can see what exactly we are trying to implement here. Okay, now here what am I going to do? I'll have an iron header within this iron content, and then an iron toolbar. All right, along with that I will have some buttons. So back button will be there. This is the back button where the default href is /home. So by default it will get redirected to home. Say like if you're refreshing it here and we see the back button, then it will redirect back to home. Now the color here is given of light color. Let me change it to dark so that you can just check it out if something is showing up or not. So this is our back button. Let's see if I have refreshed it. By default it will go to home screen. Okay, even if you're redirecting from somewhere else also and you refresh the page, it will still go to the home screen one. That's what it means, the default href. Now I have given the design of MD, that means material design. For the Android one, this back button shows up in this particular way. For iOS it is a little different. You will have the text and something, but I don't want to show that up because we are going to design in different way. All right, that is why I've done that. Now this header part, I'll fix the slot. So slot is fixed here and I don't want any border. So class iron no border will be called here to remove any border that is available. Fine. Once that is done, it is fixed and nothing else I need to do here. So at first we will get the item details, for which I'll go to the TS file of this item detail one and we'll work with that. So in the ng on it, I'm going to pass a function called getItem, which I'm just going to define it here. GetItem, in which I will get the ID at first. Now to get the ID, we are going to use activated route, in which let's first inject that, then you will understand. Otherwise it's going to be difficult for you. So private route, again I'm not injecting it in constructor. I'm just using the inject function where I'll pass activated route. This is the one imported from @angular/router. Now this is beneficial for getting this kind of an ID because it has snapshot.paraMap.get, and this is how we get the ID. All right, there are few more other options by which you can get that, and you can subscribe that. If there is any change in the ID, you will be able to see that. But we are not going to implement it up because whenever someone changes the URL, they have to press enter, and at that point of time the page will get reloaded up. Okay, that is why I'm not doing that. Now after this is done, we are going to check if this ID is available or not, for which this will be my condition. I'll first check in the console log, then I will check if it is available and in not equal to 0, because it is a string that we are going to pass. That is why if it is so, if it is not available or 0, then we are going to simply navigate it to the back, that means to the earlier page. And for doing so, nav control is coming from private navctrl will be equals to inject. Again I have to inject it, and I'll call the nav controller here. We need to import it, nav controller. Well, it's not showing up, so let's copy it. I'm going to import it, import nav controller from icons, not icons, sorry, at ionic/angular/standalone. Now there is a slight problem here. You want to know what? Basically, when you create a new page in the standalone also, you get Ionic modules, common modules, and forms module. I'll simply remove it, because if you have this modules already available, then the routing won't work properly. Mostly that is a problem that is faced. You need to have everything from the standalone one perspective. That is why we need to call everything from the standalone one, whatever we need. Now we'll get some errors in our HTML page, for which I need to import it by hovering on that one by one. That's how it works. Okay, so once I have hovered on that, you can see all the imports are done automatically and we are good to go ahead. Now there won't be any problem with this. Alright, so no problem so far with our code. Everything is fine. If you want to check the logs here, let me just show you. Just check it out. ID1 is coming up. So this is working for us. Now we have got the item here. We need to get the details of the item, right? Item ID actually. We have got the ID. Now let's get the item. Now to get the item, I need to do certain things. Let me have a property called ID, which will be of type string and it won't be empty. That is why exclamation symbol is being given. I need to import one more, or inject actually, one more service called API service inject API service. This is how we do it. I hope you're getting familiar with all those things. Now I'll simply initialize my ID to this particular ID property that we have created, and there will be an item also which I need to have it here. So item of type any will be defined, in which will hold the item data from our items array in the API service. We are going to find that record where ID matches with the ID that we are getting it from here. So in this particular way, we will be able to fetch our single item, and I'll log the value of it so that you can check it out what exactly we are getting, right? Let's check the console log here. Just check it out. This is the stuff which we are getting and it is proper that we need. Once we get the stuff, we can start working with the designing part. Now we are going to start off in the HTML part with the image. So the cover image of the item, we are going to have it in a div and we are going to overlap on top of the header part. So header part, it is going to be transparent and we are just going to have the buttons only there. That is why it is being used in such a way within the ion content. I'm not passing it outside of the ion content. That's the reason. So I'll define a div here in this particular way. Let me hover on it. Now in this div, I'm passing background image, style.background image. That is how we can do that. You can use ng style also if you want to, where our URL will be the one. This is how the URL and the function, within the URL function only you have to pass it. That is how we work with background image. So I'm just passing the cover image here and a class also bg with which I'm going to work in the CSS file of it. Then I'm just passing rating here because we need to pass the rating part also. Let's skip that for the time being. I don't want you to confuse about it. So let me skip it. I'll just explain you one by one. Now let's go to our CSS file, SCSS file actually, in which I need to make the background of the ion header at first to be transparent so that we can see the image properly. And also these buttons which I have it here, I'll just pass some background to it so that it will be circular and it looks nice. So let's achieve that with this particular designing. I'm making the toolbar and the ion header to be transparent background and a color base also of transparent. Then in the ion buttons that we have here, whatever ion buttons, if I'm using 2, 3, whatever ion buttons I'm using, they will have a certain background with a border radius of 50%. And here RGBA color I'm using because we can pass the opacity here with the colors. So this is a dark color and an opacity of 0.15 is being given. Now to the ion button here, which I'll be using it later on, not now, because this is part of the ion button. So I don't need to do anything here because I'll be using another button here for which I'll be needing some margin and everything, which we are going to work with later on. And after this is done, it's time to work with the div with the class of bg that we have defined for our image, within which I will have the width to be 100%, a height I have defined to 30 rem, then a border radius to the top left and top right nothing, 0, and bottom left and bottom right to be 20 pixels. Okay, that is why it is curved, right? And this one is straight, means it is not like having any problem with that because this is like touching the corners. We need that kind of a design. That is why I've achieved that. Now the background size is covered. That is why it is taking the full size. If I don't pass it, just check it out what happens. Look at it, not looking nice, right? So we need this. Then the position is centered up and the repeat is no repeat. If we don't pass it also, there will be a lot of images that is going to repeat itself, which we don't need. Okay, so in this case it is not happening, but in some cases you might feel the problem. That is why to do it in a certain way is must. And a background color of light I have given to it, so that if you have any other color in this particular div, this one is also of light color, which you can change or you can simply remove that also, because it won't impact anything as of now. But I prefer to do that. And in the HTML one, now I can simply pass a light color, which will look nice. Just check it out. Look at it. It's looking lovely, right? And we have a background looking smooth and transparent also, like the way we have done in our CSS part. After this is done, I will have the rating part here, okay, which will have a white background and it will look nice. So how we can achieve that? We will achieve it with the help of this particular div here. Within this div, I'm just passing a class of rating and aligning everything to the center of the div. So the iron icon which I have here and the rating, which will be a text, will be centered up. So the iron icon, I'm again using the star icon and the color will be of warning. Then whatever rating is being passed, I'll get it here. Now it is showing up in this particular way at the top because I've centered it. So it is placed at the top part. It appears here in a certain design part. So let's get that going. I'll go to SCSS and here I'll make the position of this particular div of absolute and provide a background color of white color. That is how it looks like in this particular way. Let me comment this. I'll do it one by one. So background color is provided. Now we need to specify the width. So I've given width of 20%. That's going to be enough to hold the size it requires, because it's not too big, right? And I'll give some border radius of 20 pixels so that it looks nice, rounded shape, which will be good to see. And some padding, otherwise it's too clumsy at the top and bottom, which I don't like at all. Now at the top, let me pass 0, because if I give bottom to be 0, it will come down at the bottom part, which is not great. So right also to be 0, so it will come towards the right side here. And then margin top, how much I need? Sorry, not margin top, margin left and right. I need 10 pixel is enough. So left margin and right margin we have given. Now margin top, like I have aligned in such a way that it appears almost at the bottom part. Because we have 30 rem for the div, that is how I have aligned it to 27 rem. So 3 rem difference is there between the end of these two divs. Okay. All right. So our rating is also set up properly. So it's time to design the other stuff, for which I'll go to HTML again and I'll work with, after this div, an iron item where lines will be none. I'll have an iron label here. Now within this iron label, I will pass the item name and the description. So description is being passed in a p tag because it will have some spacing at the top, because at the top we will have the name, and in the name also everything will be of uppercase. Now in standalone you are getting an error because you need to import it, but in ng modules I don't think you will get an error because it is already available in the common module itself. Here in the standalone one, what am I going to do? In the imports one, let me import it here, uppercase pipe. That's the pipe I need. It will be imported from @angular/common and we are good to go. So the error is gone. We have the description. Just check it out. The description is showing up. The item name is showing up. What else do we need? We need the pricing and all of the stuff, for which I will have another p tag. Let's define it. Within the p tag, I will pass an iron text where color will be medium and it will show MRP, and another iron text for the pricing one, within which I'll pass the price within a span one, because I need to make it bold and everything. That is why I'm passing it in a span. Before that, we need to pass the currency. That is why I don't want to change the currency. Now for the currency symbol, I'll get it from the home page. I think we have already defined it there. This is the one. And let's copy and paste it here in this particular manner. And we are good to go. So this data is coming up, right? Now we need to design it in such a way that it looks nice. Let's get going with the item detail CSS file and start working with the designing part here. So first of all, I'll give some margin top to this iron item. Let's get outside of it and I'll do it in such a way. I've given 1.5 rem margin top to our iron item. Then I'll work with the iron label here. So for the iron label, I'll pass a font size of 1.1 rem and a font weight of bold. So this is looking bold and better. Then we are going to work with the description one. So p tag description, margin top of 10 pixels and a font weight of 500 is fine, because I don't want it to be bold, but it should look proper. And I pass it as important because in the next step for the pricing one, I'm going to pass a margin top of 15 pixels. So it will overlap the one that I have defined earlier one. That is why this important tag is being given, so that it still works even if I pass 15 pixels. Okay, I hope you understand that. Now finally, we have already defined a class called price to our pricing one. Now we need to work with that. So in the p tag, I'm going to work with this price one, where I'll pass margin left of 5 pixels and a font weight of normal. To the span which we have used for our pricing, I'm passing a font weight of 1 rem and a font weight of bold and font size of 1 rem. So it is looking bigger than the symbol here. All right. So far everything is looking nice. Let's move ahead. So what's the next step we need to follow actually is to work with the iron footer part. So let's get to the bottom. I'll have an iron footer here, and within which I will have the iron toolbar, which will have certain properties. So within this button, I will have certain properties which will be size of it to be large and expand to block so that it can take the full block size. And the text within that will be bold. That's what strong to be true means. And the mode of iOS, I want to keep the same mode for the Android one also. That is why I fixed the mode to be of iOS one. Now within this iron button, I'll pass an iron text here called add to bag. Let's check it out. Great, it's working. And before that, I think I need to pass an iron icon also. That's gonna look nice. So icon will appear to the start position of the text one. So I'm going to pass slot to be start. So it will appear on the left side if you're working with left to right or LTR direction. Okay, and the name is going to be bag handle outline. But it will not work directly. We have to go to app.component.ts file for this standalone project. Don't need to do anything for the ng modules. Once again, I'm telling you, bag handle outline. Okay, we will be needing bag handle also because I am going to use that. All right, so I've just defined it earlier on only. Okay, this is the one that is showing up. So the design part is almost the end part. Okay, what else do we need? When I click on this button, I need to do certain things. Let's check it out what exactly that's gonna be. So in the HTML, I think I need to go to the HTML part of this iron detail one. Within this, I'm going to pass some conditional stuff. Like when you're clicking on the add to bag, that should change the text for certain seconds, like 1 second or so, that added to bag, and the icon will change. Instead of showing any other animation, I'll show that part. So for doing that, I will have the color. This will be a property that I'm just going to define. If it is true, then success will be the color. That means the greenish color will show that it is added to bag. Otherwise, it will show the primary color, and on click of it, and a function will be called add item. Fine. And even the text also, I should change it. Let's me define it. I'll change the icon and the text in this particular way. So it is all based on this property condition. If it is true, then something else will show up. Otherwise, it will show the normal ones. Hope it's clear to you. Let's move ahead and work with this in our TS file at first, where I'm going to define this particular property. Let me do it here. Bag add to bag of type any. It's not empty. That's what it shows, as it will just hold a string. Okay. Now in this string, what exactly it's going to hold, let me just show you this function called added text, within which this dot add to bag will be equals to added to bag, and after a set time out of 1 second, means after 1 second, again it will get back to normal by initializing once again add to bag will be null. Okay, that's how it's going to work. And this function I'm going to call within add item function, which will occur or which will be called on click of add to bag button. So add text, edit text function is called. Let's check it out. If I click here, just check it out. It is changed for a second and it's gone. So this is working great. Now we need to work with the actual functionality of cart. But I think the icon size here, or we can play around with the styling part a little bit here, for which I'll go to the CSS file here. And what am I going to do is at the bottom for the iron footer, this will be my designing for the text part. So I'm just making the text to be little, I would say smaller. And the icon size also I'm fixing it to 1.5 rem and a margin right of 10 pixels, a little bit more spacing here. So that it looks good, right? So you can just skip that if you don't want to apply these functionalities or design. Otherwise, I think it will be better if you try this out, okay? So this is done. The designing part is almost done. Now it's time to work with the cart service here, for which I need to create the cart service, as we are going to do everything there, the addition part and everything. Ionic G service. Within the services folder, I'll call it cart folder, and within that the cart service will be created. Okay, fine. I made a mistake here. Actually, there won't be any slash. Ionic G service. There won't be any slash. It will be a space. Now it's gonna work. It will create our service here. This is the one where we can simply work with the cart functionality. So now the cart service is defined here, and I'm going to use an observable called cart, which will be equals to behavior subject, all right, in this particular way. And I'm using a getter for it, which will return the observable of this particular card so that we can subscribe to it whenever we need and check the value whenever it gets changed. Okay. Now here I need a function called add quantity, where I'm going to get the item, let's be of type any. So this function I'm going to call when I'm going for add to cart in this particular page. So let me call it here. Well, that's how it's gonna be. Let me make it a sync, as I'm going to make it try catch. I'm going to use it, and I'm going to make that async. It will return a promise in the cart service. That is why it is being done in that particular way. For the timing, if you don't want, you can simply remove it also. Later I'll show you why it is being used. Now the cart service, I need to inject it here. Let's do that quickly. So private cart service equals to inject and the cart service here. All right, this is done. Great. So whenever I click on it, I need to get the count of total items so that I can show an icon here for the bag handle one, that is basically for the cart one, how many items are there in the cart, and it will get updated here in the badge one. Okay, so let's design that up at first, then it is going to be better to work with the cart functionality, right? Okay, let's do that. In the HTML one, what am I going to do? I'm going to define that at the top part, right? After this iron buttons, let's do it here. So I'm going to have another iron buttons where slot to be end, within which I'll have an iron button here, where the properties will be fill to be clear, because I don't want to show the background of the button, just the icon is enough. Then size of large, and the color is of light color, so that the icon will also have the light color one. Now finally, I'm going to show the icon here, which is going to be bag handle, which we have already declared in our app.component.ts file. All right, and I'm passing slot to be icon only. If we pass this slot to be icon only, it shows that we are not passing any text to this particular button, and it will enlarge little bit the icon size. Okay, that is what it is being done here. Now it is not proper. We are going to work with that in the designing part, means in the CSS part. But at first, let's complete it fully. So I will be needing a badge also after this iron icon, for which what I will do is I'll go to TS file and define another property called total items, which will be initialized to 0 value, that is going to be number. And I'm going to drag down here. If this particular number is available, that means it is greater than 0, let's do that, greater than 0, then only I'm going to show the badge. This is how we show a badge here, and you're not able to see anything as of now. Let me pass 1 here, then you will be able to see. If I pass 1, you will be able to see some badge, right? It's showing up, but not proper. We need to design it in such a way that it shows in a proper way. How that can be done, that's a question. Well, we will do all this stuff in our SCSS part. Let's move to our SCSS to design it up. Now, first of all, what I'll do is at the top, let me use this particular margin here so that it gives a little bit more margin to the top, bottom, left and right. Okay, it is fixed now. Wherever I need more, I've given more. Wherever I need less, I've given less. Then after that, I need to work with this iron badge here, to which I'll give position to be absolute, top and right to be 0, border radius of 50 pixels, 50% actually, and a height and width I fixed it to 1 rem so that it doesn't look too big as it was earlier. And finally, some margin is being given. Let me just show you in another way. Let's comment it, show you one by one. Okay, if I don't pass this, just check it out how it looks like. So passing it 50% will be a better option than height and width of 1 rem. I have passed and a margin. Well, I need to move it towards the right side, so I need to give a negative margin. Top right, this is the right one, towards the right side in the -1 it will move, then only it's going to work properly. Okay, and display of flex is being given so that I can align all of it to be at the center, vertically and horizontally to be centered. That is why this one is coming at the center, otherwise it was not working earlier. If I just remove these things, you will see that it is not centered up properly. Just check this out. That is why you need to apply this CSS. And finally, the iron text that you have within this, I'm just going to change the font size to 0.6 rem so that it looks a little smaller and it matches the design part. After doing that, our stuff is ready. And we need to implement the same iron badge in our home page also. So I'm going to just cut it from here because I need to remove any kind of a redundancy. And that is why I'm going to define it in global.scss, which can be implemented for all the stuff that I'll be using. Okay, you can pass a certain class also if you're using more badges where you don't need this kind of a design, but I'm just passing it up everywhere. Okay, since I won't be using in such places where I don't need this kind of a design. Now let's get back to the home page with the same thing only. I'm going to design the same stuff here also. Let's get back and see. In this particular place, I'm going to design this up. So after this iron title, I will pass it here. Iron buttons, okay, slot of end, and within that same iron button here, fill clear, and a router link is being provided to redirect to the cart screen, which we don't have as of now, but I have still passed it so that we can understand we need to work with that. If you click on it right now, it's gonna give you the error. So I think I should cut and paste it here in a commented manner so that we can use it later on. Otherwise you might face some error. Then I'm passing the icon, and finally the same badge part which we have done earlier is being passed. Now we don't have any total items here. That is why it is giving us the error. In the home page one, what I'll do in the TS file, I need to work with that. So let me define here total items to be 0. Okay. And I'm going to subscribe to the observable for the cart one to get the actual value. For doing that, I will call private cart service equals to inject cart service. All right, that's what I'll be doing. Now, once that is done, what I'll do here is, after this get items, I'm going to subscribe to the value of the cart. And once I get the value, I'm going to get the total number of items within that and pass it here. Currently, we don't have anything of such kind, okay, total item or anything, so it won't work. But when we get that, we are going to definitely fetch the data from there. If you're confused, you can comment this up and check it later on. For the timing, let me just show you this part later on when we work with the cart service in the next episode, which we are going to do. But for the time being, if I just pass 1 here, let's see what happens. If I pass 1, it's going to show up here properly. So design is proper here. I don't need to do anything. Okay, let's keep it in this particular way, and I think we are good to go, right? So let's get back to our item HTML file where, all right, TS file, I'll make it to 0 once again. Designing part is ready. Let's get to our item screen, and once we click on the add quantity, what happens then? We need to work with that part. So in this video, I'm just going to show you how the count can be incremented, but the actual part I'm going to cover up in the next episode here. So in order to do that, what I'll do here is this dot cart service, okay, cart dot value. I'll get the value here within a constant called data. So this observable will be used to hold the value. Now here what am I going to do is, let me create a constant here called total item, which will be equals to a bracket data question mark dot total item. If it is available, then it will show up, otherwise it will be 0. Then I'm going to add 1 to it. All right, so I'm just keeping all the options in 1. If it is available in the cart, it's going to be get incremented, otherwise 0 will be added to 1. That means it's 1. Finally, the data that I get here, I'm going to pass it to the cart once again, this dot underscore cart dot next. That's how we update this value, within which I'm simply going to pass total item in this particular way. Fine. So the cart will be updated, and the updated value will be passed to the ones that are subscribed to it. So let me subscribe it to the item detail page and in the home page also. Within the home page, we have already subscribed to it. Let me just uncomment it. And for this cart sub, let me pass it here. Cart sub will be equals to subscription, not equals to, actually it's colon. So let me just pass it colon here, and it will be means it will not be empty, of course. That is why exclamation symbol is required. Now we also need one more thing, implements, well, on destroy is required for the ng on destroy function. And in fact, if you feel like, you can pass on init also, but that's not required. I think still we can simply pass it if you want to. Okay, so once that is done, I'll simply check here one thing, that if cart sub is available, then let's unsubscribe that. Otherwise there will be memory leaks if you don't do that up, which is very, very important to work with. And I'm going to cut it, paste it at the very end, so that it follows the proper pattern that the ng destroy works. How ng destroy works, it will be called at the very end. So this is the hierarchy which I'm maintaining here. I hope you understand that. Same thing we are going to implement in the item page also, item detail page. Let's do that. In the item detail page, what am I going to do here is, I'm going to go to the ng on init and paste this once again. Let's have the cart sub here also, cart sub exclamation colon subscription. All right, and we need ng on it, we already have. We need the on destroy also imported from, just check this out, at angular/core. And then we will simply call our ng on destroy, the same which we did in our home page. So I can simply copy it from there. Let's copy it and paste it at the bottom part here in the item detail page. I hope it's pretty easy for you to understand. All right, so the subscription part is done in all the places. Now wherever we make a change, it will get impacted everywhere, since we are subscribed in all the pages wherever we are. Now I'll get back, since it will get reloaded and we won't be able to see the changes in our home page if we don't do that up. So I'm going to start off with the home page itself, go to a single screen, a single item page, and click on add to cart. You can see 1 is showing up. If I click again, 2 will show up. If I get back, here also 2 is showing up. So this is how it is changed in one place, and you can see it everywhere. Fine. So I hope you have understood this particular part. We have designed a lot of things here, and I hope you are grabbing all the stuff and you're liking it. So with this, I'm going to wrap up this video for the day. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, do subscribe to the channel, and do watch out the first part if you haven't checked it out. Just pop-ups are coming up. Click on that and you will get redirected to the first part. Also, If you haven't seen my courses and the templates that are available, check out the links in the description. Lots of content is available there. Just check this out. Okay. With that being said, I will see you in the next episode of this particular series. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep watching coding techniques. See you in the next one.